Last week we made it into the playoffs with the final kick of the game on a 52-yard field goal, putting us at the top of the NFC South. And finally, before we head into the game, we take a look at the final look of the squad as we head into this with our starting running back injured. DJ Foster will take over the majority of the load there. We will have to play a bit of LaMichael James to give him a rest. And our starting strong safety is injured as well, so Nate Ebner's not in. Fleming takes over for him, but that's it for injuries, pretty much the same squad. So this is one of the first plays, and we kind of had a bad alignment of personnel here. That's Kevin Pierre-Louis on John Brown getting taken for a ride. John Brown, huge gain there down the sideline, over the 50-yard line. And then on this next play, this is Joshua Perry just jarring the ball loose there. So it's a turnover, D. Milliner recovers it, but what actually happened was that was reviewed and overturned. But we hold them to a field goal there on 4th and 3, so it's 3-0. And we get a chance down here, and that was aiming at R1. You can go back and watch that again. That was supposed to go to Thomas. It went over his head by like 3 feet, straight to Tyrann Mathieu. There's just a nice run from the tight end there. D. Milliner makes a nice tackle. I was thinking at that point, I don't think I've ever seen D. Milliner miss a tackle. And then here we could have got him, but the guy coming on the blitz just ran out of steam before getting to him, and he can throw the touchdown to Michael Floyd. There again, wide open player. This time it was Tajae Sharpe, just misses him completely again. And here's the problem we have. We get close to Carson Palmer and he manages to get rid of it. He had such a quick release, we rarely got to him. And this is their final play of the second half here. Kevin Pierre-Louis makes a nice easy tackle, holds them there, they time out, and then they can kick the field goal, so it's 13-0 starting the next half. There was absolutely nothing there for Hackenberg, just takes the sack straight through the middle, drops back again, looking for someone, finally hits DJ Foster. We haven't used Foster as a receiver really today because we've had to use him as a running back. We need to start getting him more involved if we want a chance of making a comeback. There, nice play by Coleman, tackled on the 1-yard line, almost in for the touchdown. And we actually struggle from this point to actually punch it in. 3rd and goal here, has a chance. I don't know what went wrong there. I don't think it was the pass. Malcolm Mitchell just kind of fell on the floor as he caught it. I definitely didn't possession catch it. Could have been a touchdown. There's a nice sack. Actually, it wasn't a sack. It was a tackle for a loss, but for 8 yards. And watch Akeem Davis on this one. Drops back, comes in on the blitz, comes in on the blitz, comes in on the blitz, then gets him. Had all day to make that run. Palmer couldn't find anybody open. Clearly must have not seen him, was looking downfield. Nice sack from Akeem Davis from a very deep position. Then on 3rd and 14, all he could find was a 1-yard gain there. 4th and 13, they punt it to us. We did nothing with our possession, still 13-3. Look at that, all day in the pocket, and if he's going to wait that long, even our pass rush can get to him despite it being tough all day. And that's a huge hit from Kyler Fackrell there, just absolutely lays the running back out. And they run it on 3rd and 22, just trying to run the clock out. Joshua Perry, a little bit of a hammer laying there, and then we obviously get the ball back on 4th and 2. We've got to go for it. That probably would have been a first down all day with Keith Marshall. DJ Foster just isn't as quick. It's not really his fault. You got to make different calls for different players. This is the last play of the game. Yeah, it's a tackle, whatever, 13-3 loss. And there is the end of this season, and it ends with 3 points scored. Now the defense did well, they held them to 13 points with Carson Palmer, although he had 74 completion percentage, 202 yards and a touchdown. We did pretty well, although they just started running pretty much from the second half onwards because they didn't need to bother doing anything else. For the first time really this season, Christian Hackenberg was pretty much just terrible. Usually he might have a bad spell, get better. This time not so much, completely overthrowing passes, throwing them behind, throwing them too short, everything. He threw them everywhere he shouldn't have thrown them and rarely threw them on target. 55% completion percentage, 2 interceptions, one of those was just an insane overthrow straight to the safety. The other one probably wouldn't have gone much better even if it was on target, but still he threw it behind the receiver. Rushing was always going to be a problem today. We did try with DJ Foster, just it wasn't working. 22 yards, 3.6 per carry. We needed Keith Marshall and he just wasn't here. Receiving wise, Brandon Coleman tried his best. 75 yards, 15 yards per reception. And then Malcolm Mitchell had a drop and Rico Gathers had a drop. As we can see here, clearly the right side was the problem here. Defensively, Akeem Davis played pretty darn good all day long. So did Kevin Pierre-Louis, so did Joshua Perry. Apart from that, nobody else really did much. I mean, there was a sack at one point, a sack forced fumble. D. Milliner, like I said in that game, doesn't seem to miss any tackles ever. Tackles for loss, there were quite a lot there. Joshua Perry had 3, Pierre-Louis had 3, Fackrell had 2 and Devon still had 1. Dion Jordan had a sack. Akeem Davis had that crazy sack where he took about 2 minutes to get to the quarterback but still got to him before he threw it away. And Dion Jordan on his 1 sack had that forced fumble, and that's pretty much it from everyone. And after all that, our contract has been extended. Turns out you can get rid of absolutely everybody on your team worth anything. Go to the playoffs and you'll get a contract extension. So what I'll do now is I'll go through all of the rest of the playoffs, take a look to see if any of our players made the Pro Bowl, see who won the Super Bowl, and then we'll take a first look at free agency. We're not going to sign anyone yet, but I'll explain that once we get there. So it's now time for the Pro Bowl, so I figured we'll take a look at how the playoffs have gone so far. So in the wildcard round, the Patriots beat the Raiders 51-6. The Packers beat the Lions 21-16, and the Bengals won their first playoff game against a division rival 31-27, and of course, the Cardinals beat us 13-3. In the divisional round, the Bengals won again, beating the Chiefs 26-13. Then the Cardinals beat the Giants 38-3. The Patriots beat the Texans 35-10, and the Seahawks beat the Packers in a close game 24-7. And then of course the final games, the conference games, the Patriots beat the Bengals. They made it all the way there, but fall short. And then the Seahawks beat the Cardinals. And now this has become one of the more favourite Super Bowl matchups again this season. The Seahawks and Patriots. Obviously President Obama thinks so. There was a lot of Steelers-Cardinals talk before the season. Now it's kind of switching to Seahawks-Patriots, and this game agrees. Be interesting to see who ends up winning that one. Kevin Pierre-Louis makes the Pro Bowl. That's great to see. Really is one of the best linebackers in the league. I thought maybe Akeem Davis would have had a shot at free safety, but no, doesn't make the cut, and nobody in the return team. So one player representing us at the Pro Bowl, and it is our best player, Kevin Pierre-Louis. Alright, so I've just seen at the bottom left, the first big news is that Tom Brady has retired. Now we can see who won that game. You'd figure it's the Patriots if he's retired. There's our guy, Jameson Nickerson, locks down opposition and college all-star game MVP. That's the guy we're interested, I'm pretty sure. I remember his name, he's definitely one of the cornerbacks. I think I'm going to have to trade up for him. So drum roll please to see who won the Super Bowl. It was the Seahawks, 21-7, so the Patriots didn't win. Tom Brady decided that's enough, he's retired. And we have a whole bunch of players to re-sign. Now obviously we have a whole bunch of cap room to do that, but it is a bit annoying to go through this many. Pretty much we're going to try and keep everybody, because I'm not about to dive back into free agency to get people. I'm not going to get Connor Barth. So we want all of these guys, especially anybody over 70, because, well, we've developed them into these players. We don't want to now lose them. They're all asking for reasonable things. I'm actually not going to take Zach Sudfeld. He can go. Akeem Davis. Some of these guys are asking for less than I'd give them. Scooby Wright will keep, although obviously I think I'm actually going to have Joshua Perry as the starting middle linebacker. Dion Jordan will keep. Quite expensive though there. One of the more expensive players. TJ Yates, we never wanted him. I don't know why he was on the team. Couldn't get rid of him, he was injured. Darren Smith, maybe that's one of those guys we can let walk, but for $600k, I think we'll just keep him around for depth. Nate Ebner, a starting player for us, and he costs us $740,000, that's it. Vincent Valentine asking for some serious cash there. I don't think he ever really played for us. I mean, maybe we should have given him a bit more of a chance looking at those 3 traits there compared to Michael Bennett's. Better tackling and better block shedding, but DJ Foster, the leading receiver of our team, only wants $600,000 to stick around. You can have that and some more. Ifo Ekpreolumu is still going to be our starting cornerback when he comes back from injury. It was another reason why I did the entire series, was for players like him to play. So we will sign him and we will play him next season, and I'm looking forward to it. Ringo's probably a guy we can let go now. Depth, I assume I can probably just get back in the draft. Rico Gathers we're going to sign, but I think he's aware of his own value there. $1.3 million for 1 year. Mike James we can let walk as well. Some of these guys were depth guys that we'd never even used, so I'll let them go. And that is it. So a couple of guys I said I was going to sign, I've not signed. I thought we'll take a bit more of a risk here. So Mike James we're not signing. And Darius Lanton we're not signing. We had 4 middle linebackers. We don't need that many. Ari Kwanjo we're not signing. Christian Ringo we're not signing. Kenny Bell we're not. LaShawn Sims we're not. DJ Foster we did. Ferro Cooper we're not. Aaron Murray we're not. Fleming we're not. Jonathan Anderson we're not. Neville Hewitt we're not. Michael Bennett no. Valentine no. Rashaan Melvin we did re-sign, but Dexter McDougal we didn't. Eric Kush we're not bringing back. Well, we might bring back, but we're just not signing right now. Van Dyke nope. Darren Smith nope. Zach Sudfeld, no. Well, although I said I wasn't going to re-sign him anyway. And of course, Connor Barth, no. I'm just not interested in signing with you. We said no to you. So 19 contracts we're going to let expire. And we move on to stage 1 of the off-season. So before we take a look at free agents and I explain how that is going to work, we're going to take a look at this team. Everybody here, apart from the people I'm about to mention, are completely replaceable. So Keith Marshall is not replaceable. Although the wide receivers technically are, they're not replaceable in the sense I don't think we need to replace them. The entire line can go. Rico Gathers is replaceable. Quarterback is. Fullback, of course, is. The only 2 players that 100% will not be replaced: Kevin Pierre-Louis and Keith Marshall. That is it. Those 2 guys, no one's going to replace. No matter how high the overall is, we'll put them somewhere else. As you can see, a very, very thin-looking team now, of course. We let a lot of people walk. Akeem Davis is one of those guys that's kind of not replaceable, but if someone plays better than him in the preseason, then I'm happy to swap him out. But I just know no one's going to play better than Pierre-Louis. More importantly than the fact that there really isn't anyone here to sign is the other thing you probably have seen by now is our available funds is in the negative. We can't afford to sign anybody. From what I know, draft contracts and stuff are always looked after. That's not going to be a problem here, but we can't sign free agents because we don't have the money because we re-signed most of our team. That's what happens when you trade for a bunch of guys or sign them all as free agents. They have 1-year contracts, they all need re-signing. We didn't do that well, so we don't have that much money. But of course, it's not really an issue. I'm happy with the team we have. Now, of course, there's not much here, but because of the way this works, a lot of good players are going to come in the draft. Now, obviously, when you're usually playing and you want all of you guys to be over 80 overalls and stuff, you're not going to get that many good players in the draft. But basically, in this draft, pretty much everybody's going to be able to be a starter on the team. Whether we play them there or not is a different matter. But our leading receiver was a 64 overall. Our tight ends are 64 overall. Our starting strong safeties is 68 overall. You don't really get much worse than that in the draft when you go into the lower rounds. That's why I've been scouting through everybody, not just looking for the best possible, fully scouting even lower round players, lower overall players, because we're still going to end up signing guys like that. The next offseason I would think would be different, but for this one, we're kind of just stuck with what we can get. And there's the big news, the ones we've been waiting for all season. Ifo Ekpre-Olumu is finally available to play again. So he's actually going to be our starting cornerback. That was always the plan. Of course, if he ends up not being that good, we'll swap him out. But it was always the plan to have him as our #1 corner. Of course, we still can't sign free agents. We can have a look though. Oh look, we made some more money, but we're still 182,000 in the red, so still can't do anything. So here he is. I reckon this guy will go extremely early on. I'm thinking top 5 pick. We're gonna have to trade up from if we want him. A 7.1 combine grade. Oh my god, he was first in the 40-yard dash. I will trade away an entire draft to get this guy. You are kidding me, right? He's 6'4", 215 pounds, and runs a 4.29 40. And has a 40-inch vertical jump, 4th in the broad jump out of cornerbacks. The only thing he's not that great at is he was 32nd in the bench press with only 16 reps, but projected as a mid-first rounder. No way, we are gonna steal him. I will go as high as I can, trading up. I'm not settling for not drafting this guy. I said that when I saw his size. If he's in the top 5 or whatever of the 40-yard dash, we've got to take him. He's #1. He's first. This guy is a freak. We might have to spend a late round pick on Case Larson here. A kick power, A- kick accuracy. And pretty physical for a kicker. Obviously, just ranking 1st and 2nd out of the kickers isn't that impressive. He also managed to rank 4th in the 40-yard dash and the bench press, and there's only 3 kickers. And of course that means it's time to start the draft, but it also means we're not starting the draft in this episode. That's going to happen on Friday. It's going to be very, very interesting, this draft. We're going to have to play it smart at times. We do have so many draft picks, we could trade up for the first and it wouldn't really hurt us next year. I mean, what's the average cost? Probably 2 firsts and a second. That wouldn't even dent next year's. Even if it's 3 firsts and a second, it's... what does it matter to us? I mean, we can't trade 3 firsts and a second. You can only trade 3 things. But I think 2 firsts and a second will probably do it. 3 firsts we can still do, but that guy, 6'4", 215 pounds, runs a 4.29 40. But anyway, that's all gonna come on Friday. This is the end of this one. We fell out of the playoffs. We're kind of not bad that we made it to the playoffs, but obviously means we're stuck with the 21st overall selection. Next year, we've got all sorts of team selections in the first round. It'll be completely different, but first is this draft. These players